Brisbane's liveliest channel.
Free at last! Ask not! Nothing will...
The Eagle has landed.
This weekend, 50 years ago, a single moment altered forever the way we watch the world.
Good morning.
With the flick of a switch,
One small step for man.
in the blink of an eye,
John F. Kennedy died in
a moment in our past transformed our future.
Time and technology have made great advances.
A whole new era in visual entertainment.
It's getting close now. Soon, all will be ready.
Stand by on the floor. Focus up, camera 2. Dissolve to 2.
Good evening. 50 years ago on Sunday night, Channel 7 Brisbane began broadcasting in Queensland. And for many, their first view of the telly was through the window of an electrical store. People would grab their chairs and dinner and just sit outside here and watch. Tonight, from the comfort of your lounge room, we're going to enjoy a flashback journey through half a century of television. Programs made in Queensland for Queenslanders. We'll meet some of those early stars and tell you more about our new channel launching soon. But let's start with Queensland's first television broadcast, and it's earlier than you think. The Tower Mill in Brisbane, one of Queensland's oldest buildings. Convicts once slaved here grinding grain. But in 1934, Queensland's first test television broadcast took place here. Moving pictures were beamed from Brisbane to Ipswich.
And all these doodads and dinkuses form the equipment by means of which he sends pictures through the air. Place a picture, any picture, even Hitler's won't break the machine, inside the frame, then start the televisor. This gadget, like a wheel with lots of holes in it, is the scanning disc which turns the picture into bits and pieces ready for transmission. Mr. Elliott is now focusing the image on the disc. The photoelectric cells, the electric eyes of the set, which convert the images into electrical impulses to be sent through the area. Special valves reconvert them into images, and as the scanner whirls, the picture takes shape. Here's the photograph being received over the air. A bit flickery, but it'll improve.
It was improving. Private enthusiasts were experimenting. Then World War II broke out. The Australian government shut down television testing, fearing the enemy could be watching. After the war, Brisbane boomed. In 1959, Queensland celebrated its centenary. Brisbane's birthday present? Television. Mount Cootha was chosen as the site for the studios. On top of the mountain, construction began on the giant transmission towers. They were symbols of progress. As they rose, so did the anticipation. Visitors to the Ekka in 1959 were among the first to see themselves on television after a camera was set up at the Channel 7 stand.
And people came along at the show, and the cameraman was up there pointing when they could see themselves on television. They're going, look, it's me on television.
And on the 1st of November 1959, broadcasting began from BTQ7. Those letters stand for Brisbane Television, Queensland.
We're on the air, we're on the air, our program has begun. We bring you laughter and drama too, with music, quiz and fun. For programs that are far the best, it's Channel 7 station.
Wilson Irving was the first person to appear on screen, introducing Queensland's Chief Justice to officially open the station. And then the first program, 7 News at 6:15.
When it comes to news, most informed people watch 7.
Brian Carl read the first bulletin. 50 years later, he returned for a visit.
That hairdo. God, did we wear hair like that then?
And he checked out the modern news set with Rod and Kay.
Don't get too comfortable.
Yes, we're very competitive here, you know.
Yes, I imagine.
Just seconds before that first broadcast 50 years ago, Brian had a problem. The news desk was too high.
And when I sat in it, my chin came to the edge of the desk. Look, no soap.
The director grabbed a wooden packing case and ordered him to sit on it.
It was one of those tomato cases which are very light wood. So I sat and went straight through the blasted case and sat there with my bottom being spiked for the next 30 minutes while I did my very first ever broadcast on television news. Wasn't the most comfortable night I've ever had on television.
Goodness me. But you survived. You pulled it off, as it were.
As it were, yes. They had to pull it off me.
At 6:28, 19-year-old Nancy Knudsen presented the first weather report.
We actually had to put the temperatures up on the board in a kind of pegboard fashion, and sometimes they fell off in the middle of the weather report.
Nancy had been an Indooroopilly State School teacher before winning Miss Queensland and auditioning to join Seven. She became a huge star. Whatever she wore sold out the next day, even if it had been in black and white. At one time, Nancy hosted 7 different shows a week.
Do you know what that is? Don't tell the others, because I'm going to show you all the wonderful things that this funny little thing can do.
Brisbane was very forgiving. In fact, Brisbane really liked the mistakes more than they liked any kind of professionalism. No matter what went wrong, you made the most of it that you could, rather than trying to cover it up.
50 years on, Nancy edits a sailing magazine and has just completed a 5-year around-the-world voyage. At 6:30, the first entertainment show on 7 was Disneyland, a tribute to Mickey Mouse.
This is BTQ Channel 7 in Brisbane.
At 7:30, the first adventure series.
Robin Hood, riding through the glen. Robin Hood, with his band of men.
7 promoted itself as the station of the stars, and the first movie at 8 o'clock lived up to that promise. It couldn't get any bigger than Casablanca.
You must remember this, a kiss is just a kiss, a sigh.
He's looking at you, kid.
After the movie, Meet the Press, a live Brisbane interview show. And at 10:55, the station closed. Time for Brisbane to go to bed. But something appeared on the television which also became popular. The test pattern. It was used by technicians to line up new sets as they were being installed in homes, and people were glued to it.
And they would stand in the streets at night watching test patterns.
The new medium had a magical power from night one. In the Courier Mail the next day, housewives declared ironing is painless now.
One of the things it did was kept Brisbane at home. People started not to go out.
Dancing with the Stars was popular even back then. Variety was king on TV.
My good old Uncle Russell shouts for Brussels sprouts. And my dear old auntie chokes on naughty jokes. Yeah, the whole darn show I like their cauliflower too. And if you like beetroot, I'll be true to you.
Brian Tate was an early star.
Top 40 at the moment, doing very well, is a tune called As Usual, sung for us now by very popular Marion Woods.
The sun comes up and brings the dawn, as usual.
That sounds even better when it's played for you on the trumpet by the man with the golden lips, Les Crosby.
Quiz shows were popular too.
We have a beautiful consolation prize, though, worth £200. It is a Hanamax outfit, a Hanamax Electra 2 camera and projector.
And that was just the beginning. Coming up, the events of the 1960s that shaped a TV generation and the most popular Queensland show of all time as we flash back through 50 years of television.
We're 7, we're Brisbane. Do you remember those magic years? Love you, Brisbane.
Making news in the 1960s.
Angle has left.
Void.
I have a dream. Something has happened here.
2 priests who were with President Kennedy say he is dead.
$1 equals exactly 10 shillings. In $1 there are 100 cents.
That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
Would you be prepared to give a direct yes or no answer to the citizens of Brisbane on whether or not trams will be scrapped?
I have a dream.
The Voyager went down and 82 Australians died.
Channel 7 now presents a special report on the disappearance of Mr. Harold Holt.
It was 100%. There was no question of majority or anything of that nature.
I hope you're enjoying our flashback through 50 years of Channel 7. As television became more popular in the 1960s, Brisbane's landscape changed. Suburban theatres began to close. People no longer had to go out to be entertained. The fun was beamed into their own lounge room. From the studios of Channel 7 Brisbane, it was lights, camera and live local action. But in the early days, television owed much to the theatre. In 1962, when Brisbane's Theatre Royal closed down, Channel 7 undertook a bold move. It bought the entire vaudeville show. A theatre was constructed inside the studios of 7 Brisbane.
We had all the things that the old Theatre Royal had, even the dancing girls, we had an orchestra, we had a proscenium, we had curtains going up and down and to and fro, and we had an audience in which just sat down in like they were in a theatre. And we worked 3 cameras around that.
Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome to Theatre Royal.
The star was George Wallace Jr., a comic genius. He served up humour with a Queensland flavour.
We're from Macadilla.
Oh.
Up north.
Go on.
Yeah. We're Macadillians. He's a Macadill.
Oh.
We're down for the Eka.
Many gags were of a domestic nature.
Hi, all right, how you doing?
Well, this is a lovely time to come home, isn't it? It's after 2, you know.
Yeah.
Well, where have you been?
I've been at a party with Jim and all the fellas. Yell out and argue all the time. As long as it's a bit of fun, you take the edge off it. You're a nagger. You're a nagger in the first quarter. If ever I've seen a nagger. Hi.
What is it?
There's a mob of us in bed.
What are you talking about? Look, you're drunk. Will you just lie down and go to sleep, please?
Hi.
What now?
There's 6 feet in the bed.
Oh, don't be so ridiculous, George. You're imagining things. You're drunk. Will you turn over and go to sleep?
Yeah. Good night.
Good night.
Hi. Hi.
Oh.
There's a caterpillar in bed there. There's a gang of... There's 6 feet.
There are not 6 feet in the bed.
I'm not that drunk. Don't start to make out I'm half-wit.
There are 4 feet in this bed, and don't argue with me. I am never wrong.
Oh, you're never wrong. Oh, no. There are 6 feet in this bed.
Look, there are only 4 feet in this bed, and if you don't believe me, get out and count them.
I will. 1, 2, she's right again.
The show won 7 Logies in a row. 7 almost lost its big star when George crashed his car down Mount Cootha. But he was quickly back at work.
And there he is, as bright as a button, and no doubt still in pain. He was doing falls the first night of the show with his plaster on his leg. He cracked the plaster, as a matter of fact. An amazing man. Determination, and gave his everything to show business.
He was a funny guy. He was a funny guy. He didn't have to say anything to be funny. He'd just walk out on the stage or onto the screen and stand there for a minute, and he'd have everybody laughing.
My wife's got a very bad
While George worked in Brisbane, he lived on the Gold Coast. No easy commute back then. In 1965, his team produced a Christmas pantomime, Red Riding Hood. The star was a very young Rowena Wallace.
I've never seen it.
Until now. Even after 44 years, the words came flooding back.
remember this. It's because I'm so old.
As a child, Rowena was advised by her doctor to take up acting because she was so shy. Her stint with Theatre Royal fixed that.
George Wallace, who was wonderful, lovely man, very funny. The whole team was. They were great people. They used to do terrible things to me because I was so young and so wet behind the ears, and they used to start the sketches in the middle and at the end and have me sort of going, I didn't know what I was doing.
Open the door and come right on in.
I brought you some lovely goodies, fresh baked in the kitchen for my 16th birthday.
From this sweet little girl, Rowena Wallace went on to become the most hated woman on television, playing Pat the Rat in Sons and Daughters.
Now get out!
Rowena now lives at Nambour on the Sunshine Coast and fondly remembers her Theatre Royal days.
I mean, anything could happen. And with George, anything did.
George Wallace died at age 50. Without him, the show couldn't go on.
I tell you, chum, it's comforting. And the bell goes ding, and all in all, it's a damn good thing.
Local children's shows were a key part of early television.
Percy thought you might like to hear a story, and we've got a very exciting story here called The Runaway Train.
Dina Heslop and her sidekick Percy were an instant hit.
Percy was, I think, the first kind of animated character on television, because I used to animate him by flipping his flipper like that. And we used to say, good morning, everybody, and Percy saying hello to you. And he used to speak to me by whispering in my ear. And the children knew what he was saying. I now meet people who tell me that they knew that it was me that was flipping. They could see that my finger underneath his wings like that.
Decades on, Dina's life is still about kids' TV. She's a consultant on children's television standards.
Is it really? Oh dear, that's a shame, isn't it? It's time for us to go. Thank you very much for coming to visit us today. Do be careful when you're crossing roads, won't you? Don't cross them by yourself. Wait for Mummy or Daddy or somebody grown up who can show you where to cross, because we want to see you all again tomorrow and not squashed by a car, don't we? Bye-bye. Have a happy day. See you tomorrow.
Telethons were a big part of Brisbane television. On Christmas Day 1960, entertainers performed non-stop for 27 hours. £24,000 was raised to build a home for the Cerebral Palsy League at Fig Tree Pocket. Because of the telethon, it was named Seven Oaks. This year, a brand new facility opened next door.
That's how we began. We approached Channel 7 and you came to the party, for which we're very, very grateful.
But as exciting and entertaining as television was in the 1960s, everything was in black and white. Stay with us after the break on this flashback special, Colour Arrives and the 70s Sizzle.
When you're hot, you're hot.
Dominating 7 News in the 1970s.
An overhead rope.
Christmas Eve.
Well, may we say, God save the Queen. Because nothing will save the Governor-General.
People are fleeing Darwin by the thousands. And once you've seen the city, you know why.
Well, what we know so far is that a rail bridge, a train bridge at Granville has collapsed. The police rescue squad are on the way. That's all we know at the moment.
And the flames raced through the room all within about 2 minutes. There was no chance of anyone getting out. The ones that got out were the ones that knew where the fire escape was.
Have you been back to see your home since?
No, I haven't been back.
Whereabouts is your home?
85 Sherwood Road, Rockley.
The 70s were turbulent in Queensland, made more real on our television screens by the introduction of colour. Channel 7 was first to demonstrate the new technology at the Ekka in 1967. And a special film was produced to educate audiences on why they should buy a new receiver.
BTQ Channel 7, Brisbane's liveliest channel, welcomes you to 7's wonderful world of colour. Colour television, a whole new era in visual entertainment, and another first for Channel 7. All your favourite sports in colour, you'll see them first on Channel 7. Tremendous spectacle, so real, so thrilling, you'll feel you're there on the spot. First, for TV news in colour, Channel 7 takes you to where the news is happening. To the local scene, where 7's journalists cover student challenge to the old established order. Amongst the tension of jungle warfare, where Charlie is a sniper's fire away.
Colour television's got young appeal as well, showing the freshness, the vitality, the talent of young Australian performers. And speaking of young Australian talent, here are the Young 7 Juniors, right on cue with a song.
A-U-S-T-R-A-L-I-A. They've got a lot of ponies, Italians and Greek. Immigrants arrive from overseas every week.
The wonderful world of colour. You'll see it first on Channel 7, Brisbane's liveliest channel.
Queenslanders eagerly adopted the new technology.
Colours your world.
Well, everyone knows the colour machine is 7. 7 gives you orange, yellow, red or green. 7 if you're blue or in the pink. Things are better than you think. Just colour your world with the colour machine called 7.
Brightening up the afternoon for Queensland children, Wombat.
Hi, I'm Fiona and I'm part of the Wombat team. Wombat's a show that takes you heaps of places and shows you lots of different things. But I'm not the only member of the Wombat team. There's Eric, who brings a little bit of magic into every show.
Hey, Susie Boris, what are you doing? What are you doing?
Pardon?
What are you doing?
I've got some medicine from the doctor.
Some medicine?
Yeah, and he told me to take it 3 times a day and to shake violently.
Well, Boris was sort of an anti-hero. He was the sort of character that would say, well, if you're going to school, kids, and you want to wear your black shoes and your mother says, wear your brown ones, wear your black ones. What does she know anyway, you know? So he was sort of a bit of a nasty character that way, but the kids got on well with him.
Nice to see you.
Hello.
Welcome to Boris's Breakfast Club. We got a big day today, and it's the overall winner for the week.
What's Boris been up to? You might have to ask him.
Oh, what's he been? Well, he's sort of been sitting out the back in the scenery, rusting and covered in cobwebs. Nobody cares about old Boris anymore. He's sort of... Actually, I've been doing a few things, you know, like comparing things like the 7th Mounted Yakan District Cooperative Society over 80s Nudist Leapfrog Club. You know, they have an occasional event that I compare. Outside of that, not very much at all. So if anybody's looking for a black knight, a really sweet, lovable guy, call the station. I'm available. Any jobs going in the sports department here?
I heard you,
Rafi. Jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride. You'd think with all the money Channel 7 has spent over Christmas, they'd have bought themselves a Christmas tree, don't you? 4 weeks I've got to stay here. Oh, well, I suppose Christmas is a special time of year and it's all part of the Christmas spirit.
The one thing that Boris used to say all the time was whooshka. Whooshka, and people still say that all the time now. Whooshka, g'day Boris, give us a whooshka, whooshka. And he said everything was incredibly boring. Absolutely incredibly boring. But it wasn't, of course, he was kidding.
Wombat was a regular Logie winner.
And the winner is... Oh, it's your little friend, Wombat.
Wombat gave children a broad view of the world. A world which began the decade in black and white and ended sizzling in colour.
7, you're still looking hot. You give it everything that you got. You give us all the shows. You keep us in the know. 7, you're still looking hot.
Stay with us. Coming up next, the 1980s. Queensland undergoes rapid change, and so does television.
Yes, you mean the
making news in the 1980s.
I don't know where.
Bingo's got my baby.
Celebrate. I don't know of any illegal gambling. If there's any going on, well then of course I don't know where it is.
Police say that former Beatle John Lennon was shot to death.
Together we'll show the world, we'll show the world. Together we'll show the world.
As a column of tanks headed out of the square, a lone young man stepped in front of them.
And here she is, she's coming into the stadium, the First Lady, Matilda. And have a look at this.
Liftoff of the 25th Space Shuttle mission, and it has cleared the tower.
7 Nightly News presents the Fitzgerald Inquiry Report.
Well, it's been a remarkable day for Queensland with the long-awaited release of the Fitzgerald Inquiry Report.
Police say there's only a slender chance of finding Azaria alive.
Bingo's got my baby.
I now have no interest in leading the National Party any further.
The 1989 state election results.
This, December the 2nd, 1989, is the end of the Bjelke-Petersen era.
This is the 7 National News chopper. At present, we're heading out across Moreton Bay. A beautiful day today, but a few months ago, when the Lee capsized, things weren't quite so serene out here. High winds, 20-foot waves. In fact, conditions were terrible on that day. But we were there to help and to bring you the news as it happened.
7's award-winning national news. We're always there.
In the 1980s, the television landscape changed rapidly. The big entrepreneurs, Bond and Skase, moved in, buying up stations and creating networks. And 7 Brisbane found a niche, making game shows and children's programs for the rest of the country.
All right, here comes Pac-Man, here comes Pac-Man.
Hey, what are you going to do?
Pac-Man's coming.
He's Australia's most famous bath mat. Agro was created in 1981 by 7 Brisbane.
Hi there, this is Agro here at the Gold Coast.
At first, Jamie Dunn was Agro's producer, not the voice.
Hey, look. Come in there.
All right.
Yeah. In there. You won't have to do that, did you? Yeah, you got it.
What am I talking to you like that for?
I don't know. Just do your stuff. What are you doing?
But soon after, Jamie got his shot to become the voice of Agro.
And so the other guy moved on and they needed someone the next day, live television. So they rang me up and said, can you do it? I said, yeah, absolutely. And I practiced the voice all night. I was really going to nail this because this is my chance, you know. And so I came up here on Saturday morning, I lay down on the floor and I put the puppet up on the bench and I was just perfect. I was going, g'day kids, how you going? You know, welcome to the Super Saturday Show. Boy, we got fun for you today. And the floor manager crawled across the floor and he held up a handwritten note that said, can you please make the puppet's mouth move when he speaks? Because I was going, g'day kids, how are ya? Yeah, anyway.
And the rest is history.
We get up every morning just as the sun is dawning and put our show together for you. So make the connection, the cartoon connection. We'll make you laugh and help you get through. Let Anne-Marie and me keep you company.
Australian television took a shine to him. He was a guest on all the big shows, even hosting Steve Vizard's Tonight Live.
My next guest is less than 3 feet tall, has more hair on his face than I do. He goes from being a bath mat to a megastar. Must be a hell of a surprise to you.
And a lot of stitching too, I'll tell you, yeah. It was a surprise to me. I didn't expect it one bit, and nor did the porky guy under the desk here.
What do you think of that? What do we think of that? No, don't repeat everything I say. Repeat what he says. Oh, what are you, a bunch of turkeys? We're a bunch of turkeys. Oh, stop it!
Oh, when I get Agro out of the bag, it doesn't matter whether kids have seen him on television or not, because he's been off TV for, I don't know, 10 years maybe. Or it doesn't matter how old they are. There's just something about him.
And from the studios of 7 Brisbane, game shows.
And now, here's the star of the show, Rob Gruff.
Hi, everyone. Welcome
to Family Feud. Nice to have you with us tonight.
Let's join Mike and Melvin for another exciting episode of Now You See It.
Variety continued its appeal. Wickety Whack made their specials here. In the 1980s, local current affairs shows battled it out for rating supremacy.
Hello again and welcome to State Affair. Well, this is the latest edition of the Guinness Book of Records. Now, under the heading of accidents and disasters, Queensland is listed as having the highest death rate in the world.
Sport has always been a big part of Seven in Queensland. From the touring cars of the old Surfers Paradise Raceway.
Jones has made a blinder. Watch him try and separate them. Richards goes for a gear as Brock tries to squeeze across. Johnson tries to open the pair of them up as they go under the bridge for the first time. And it's Brock on the outside.
To one of the greatest duels of all time at Lakeside Raceway on Brisbane's north side, between Peter Brock and Dick Johnson.
All right, third gear to 7200. Full top gear.
Channel 7 broadcast the first State of Origin in 1980.
In this historic State of Origin match from Lang Park tonight. And as you can see, Queensland kicking off. Malcolm Meninga, a man who a lot will depend on for Queensland tonight.
And while a win fuels state pride, so did Channel 7's station identification song from 1982.
We're 7, we're Brisbane, from the mountains down to the sea. Yeah, she's the city we love, she's the best in the world, and there's no place I'd rather be. Love you, Brisbane. Yes, you mean the world to me. We laugh, we cry, we struggle, we try. There's no place I'd rather be. On show for the world to see, and her friendly pace puts a smile on my face. It's the one place I can be free. Love you, Brisbane. Yes, you mean the world to me. We laugh, we cry, we struggle, we try. There's no place I'd rather be.
Love You Brisbane became an anthem for the city. It went to #1 on the charts without even playing on radio.
It got into people's hearts. I mean, they're wandering around doing housework, preparing dinner, whatever, and they can hear Love You Brisbane. And it's such a singable tune that it does get in and it stays in.
Kim is now a music teacher and performs in clubs around southeast Queensland and still gets requests for Love You Brisbane.
Yes, I performed it this morning. And all the audience sang along. They loved it.
Okay, Love You Brisbane, take one, roll it.
There have been countless remakes over the years.
Love you, Brisbane.
Even a pop version. Love You Brisbane became so big, it outgrew the city.
Love you, Queensland.
Coming up next, the 1990s, and Brisbane is the venue for the biggest battle in television history.
Nobody knows Brisbane like 7.
Making news in the 1990s.
Worst massacre by a single civilian. Princess and her
landslide. Corrupt. The horrific massacre at the historic penal settlement began without warning.
Free at last.
This is a recession that Australia had to have.
Tonight, the death of the world's most popular woman, Diana, Princess of Wales, killed in a car accident in Paris.
Didn't they tell you I was innocent? They can't prove it. And I don't care whether they take another 4 years. They'll never prove it.
This is what Thredbo village woke to this morning. A sheer cliff carved through 20 people's lives. Incredibly, he was still alive 55 hours after the landslide which crushed 2 lodges.
Just like to thank everyone who was involved in my rescue.
The jury announced that they had reached a unanimous verdict of guilty on all 15 charges of official corruption brought against the former commissioner.
If you are seeing me now, it means I have been murdered.
In the 1990s, a new crop of programs hit our screens, including one of the biggest television productions in Australia, filmed locally at the Brisbane Entertainment Centre. Every Saturday night, more than 2 million Australians tuned in to see the mighty do battle. We watched Vulcan smash mere mortals, Commando swing from the sky and hang tough. Predator ruled the pyramid. They'd whack each other in the gauntlet, roll over the floor in atmospheres, rip hapless competitors off the wall, and even run on the roof in Skytrack. And it was all filmed at Boondall.
And now let's welcome our referee, Mike Whitney.
Fantastic. I mean, the Boondall Entertainment Centre was the only entertainment centre, as far as I understood, that was big enough to actually hold the audience and have basically one end. We were doing one game while they were setting another one, stuff in the roof and lights and all that sort of stuff. So it was a lot of fun. And in the 1990s, local fashion was elevated to a new level with the RAQ Award praising local designers. The only bigger production in town, Carol. In the summer of 1989, 7 News wanted a coastal expert, and Brownie was the man. For the first time, live television from the middle of Moreton Bay.
The wind's blowing a little bit stronger. As you can see out behind the boat there's quite a deal of chop.
Crews used portable transmitters to beam live pictures back to Brisbane.
Why it worked was quite simply, I wasn't a TV presenter. I was a mail and fish and charter captain who did a job on TV.
But television quickly took over. In 1995, Coastwatch became a half-hour show.
Good evening and welcome to Coastwatch.
The star, the beaches, the surfers, the dive sites and fishing spots of southeast Queensland. The program gave the latest information for enjoying the coast and was a ratings winner.
Looks like a fair bit of southeasterly wind around this weekend.
Brownie even produced a roadmap for the sea, the Beacon to Beacon Directory. And his show also left a roadmap for future lifestyle programs. After the break, television in the 21st century, and we tell you more about our new channel launching soon.
Here at 7, we've been hard at work building the latest thing in digital TV. We're adding a whole new channel, and our extension is just about finished.
Making news this century.
This is 7 News.
Australia. Deliberately.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Sydney 2000 Games.
The bomb tore the heart out of Kuta, killing and maiming young tourists packed into 2 popular nightclubs.
I leave office as Prime Minister of Australia. I will be Prime Minister for all Australians.
15 backpackers, mostly from overseas, are believed to be dead.
Daniel, who turns 14 on Friday, vanished a week ago at a bus stop under the Keel Mountain Road overpass.
It's getting desperate. We need him back. We want Daniel back.
Good evening. The southeast has been hit by the worst storm in almost a quarter of a century. The death toll continues to climb from one of Australia's worst natural disasters, the Victorian bushfires.
Well, Rod, this is ground zero for the Victorian bushfire disaster.
And it's crazy. I'm going to go.
Queenslanders, thank you.
This is the moment of disaster. A wall of water smashes into Thailand's Patong Beach.
As Prime Minister of Australia, I am sorry.
After 2 hours, the verdict. Guilty, 20 years.
Tonight, Cyclone Larry's devastating impact.
We're trying to go back home for Daddy, because he needs help. This fence is broke. Everything's broke. I had the best daddy in the whole world, and I will miss him every day.
You know, so much has changed in 50 years of television, not just in this industry, but in Queensland too. When we began broadcasting, the state's population was just 1 million. Now, it's 4 times that. And the reason so many people have moved to Queensland is because of lifestyle. So for the past decade, that's been our local television focus. It started in 1997 with Sundays out and about in the Great Southeast.
G'day. Welcome to the very first episode of The Great Southeast.
This was a groundbreaking program with a winning formula that uncovered family-friendly events, activities and destinations. 19 years and 700 episodes later, Sophie Formica and her team continue to come up with exciting new ideas. Demand for outdoorsy stories helped 7 Brisbane launch a second show in 1999, Creek to Coast. It features a group of boating, camping and fishing specialists. It didn't take long for the current host, Scotty Hillier, to make himself known.
Oh, the Scotty Hillier release!
Rounding out the trifecta is Queensland Weekender, which has been hosted by Dean Miller for its 5.5 years on air. With a total of 90 minutes each weekend, 7 Brisbane now produces more local lifestyle programming than any other television station in Australia. Barely a square kilometre of the state has gone unexplored, as the team has taken on amazing adventures and met wonderful characters. It's entertaining television that supports the local tourism industry.
We're pretty lucky here in Queensland. There's so much to see and do, we can't fit it in just one show.
It's heartening to know that for many of you, the shows Creek to Coast, Queensland Weekender and the Great Southeast have become a regular part of your weekend routine.
I know it's a term that gets thrown around a lot, but you're looking at 3 people that know they've got the best job in the world.
And we're really hoping we've inspired you to get out and give it a go yourself.
7 also televises Queensland's largest event, Riverfire. While every night at 6, we bring you Queensland's leading news.
Still ahead in 7 News, Greg Norman's first public appearance since his marriage split.
Kay McGrath began on television 30 years ago at Brisbane's Channel O.
Good evening, I'm Kay McGrath. Well, the hair's not as big, and I'm really pleased that those shoulder pads have shrunk, but it suddenly seems like everything else has got bigger. And being on this news desk has been a wonderful vantage point to watch Brisbane and Queensland grow up.
The same year, Rod started at the ABC. This was his audition tape.
Good evening, everyone. Well, the scattered shower and thunderstorm activity has been fairly widespread. Boy, oh boy, how times have changed. Back when I started, crews would come back with 16mm film that had to be processed and projected. Now, we can go live to air from anywhere instantly. Sharon Gadella began on television in North Queensland in 1987.
Good evening. As Premier-elect Wayne Goss gathers his team together for government. Who would have thought all those years ago that that little girl from North Queensland would have ended up interstate doing breakfast television, getting up at 3 a.m. every morning? Well, of course, now I've seen the light and I'm back in my home state, which I just love. And not setting the alarm clock quite so early isn't that bad either.
Pat Welsh began as a cadet reporter at 7 News in 1974.
This luxury mogul home has been devastated by a fire here this afternoon.
Then Pat found his passion, sport.
I've been to some of the greatest sporting events in the world and been privileged enough to sit in the best seats in the house. It really is a dream job.
And Shane, well, he's settled in perfectly after an amazing career at the Broncos.
Look, I've been very fortunate. I've finished playing rugby league for the Brisbane Broncos, the best rugby league club in Australia, and I've come to Channel 7, a network who are on top of their game, and it feels exactly the same. It's a great place to work. I feel very, very fortunate.
Hello, John Sluter.
And I started in television 27 years ago.
John is next with more on today's storms.
Rod, most of us only had a sprinkle, but there were a few areas of heavy falls. Together, we bring you 7 News every night. And since our first bulletin in 1959, so much has changed.
When we first started, the cameras were huge. They were as big as a mini miner and very heavy to push around. Now, they're this big, and it's just amazing that they've condensed what was inside those big cameras to what's inside these, and they come out with the same result, and in colour.
So after 50 years, how will we celebrate our birthday on Sunday? Well, we'll do it by launching an extra television channel. So as well as your existing Channel 7, you'll be able to watch 7/2. In effect, double the number of programs at any one time. Now, to view 7/2, you'll need a digital television or a set-top box. In the southeast, the new service will be on Channel 72. It starts this Sunday at midday. Now, here's a look at what'll be on offer.
Here at 7, we've been hard at work building the latest thing in digital TV. We're adding a whole new channel, and our extension is just about finished.
Oh, take it to the limit.
We're making sure we build 7/2, so when you feel like a whole night of something, that's exactly what you'll get. Over here, we're putting in a movie night. And through here, mystery night.
Nobody does murder and mystery like the British. And nobody does a whole night of it
They killed him, just like you knew they would.
like 7/2.
Thou shalt not kill.
A whole night of whodunit. The best British mysteries, only on 7/2.
You cannot give up.
Hey, what's better than one boys' night in each week? 2.
Seven 2 is the new home for all new seasons of Heroes, Lost, 24 and Shark. Plus, brand new Stargate Atlantis.
Return fire!
And Christian Slater in My Own Worst Enemy.
Somebody help me!
With so much action, maybe you need to catch your breath and relax with some great ideas for the weekend.
Oh, wow.
Oh, what a makeover.
That is fantastic.
Oh, my God.
Hey, they love it.
Now we're getting to the good bit, the stuff I'm really excited about. The hot new shows on 7/2.
Brand new series, brand new shows, and more than just a few surprises.
Are you in the mafia?
There will always be something on.
There's so much great new stuff, and it's all under one roof. 7 and now 7/2. You've got to love that.
Well, I hope you've enjoyed our flashback through the first 50 years of 7. Thank you for having us in your lounge room all of these years. Thanks also to the hundreds of people who've worked in these studios over the past 5 decades. Now, we leave you with some of the moments when not everything went to plan. Good night.
Sydney is expecting a windy day, windy also in Canberra, a few showers in Melbourne. Adelaide will be fine. There'll be a cool morning change in Hobart, and it'll be fine in Perth. Now the Ipswich and Toowoomba forecast. I think we just dropped the camera over there. It'll be fine in Ipswich tomorrow, with a top temperature predicted tomorrow of 26 degrees. The Garden City can expect fine weather with... That's the funniest thing I've seen in the studio for a long while.
I want to get ready for this. I'll take my koala.
No, don't you, Jill.
I'm going to.
No, stop.
I've waited all year for this. OK, Damien, can I have Ben?
No, don't put it...
Thank you very much.
Jill, don't put it down the hole. Jill! Jill, don't do this.
I just want you to see. I just want you to see. Ben wants to say hello.
Jill,
Ben wants to say hello. Look.
Come on,
What a chicken!
And he said he was interested in wildlife.
Our set is moving. The set is moving. We have someone who has gone.
And one good win coming up there from Torbeck, and he's carried on the good form line.
It was a good performance, Bill, yes. Very good performance by Torbeck. What was that?
I think it was one of Joe's pies.
Police decided to end their siege of the Burleigh National Park just after midday today. But then 2 hours later, a resident reported seeing two men leave the area. They were both unclean and...
That's a lovely thing. Somebody knows what's going on there. Oh, yeah, he's right.
That's life. That's life. That's what all the people say. You're riding high on Monday.
Aggro.
Oh, Jill went.
Jill what? Oh, Jill went. Yes, I could be too.
I'll
Okay.
be Mike Willesee. Oh.
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 I think we better go. I think we better
Okay. Oh.
I think we better
Okay.
go to
Oh.
the Thundercats before we get in trouble. See you in a
Okay.
minute. Please,
Oh.
please.
Okay, you right? The emu is an Australian icon. You'll find him on the 50-cent piece. He just bit my finger.
According to inventor John Milne, the Earth Surfer is as easy to ride as a push bike. Let's see. On the Gold Coast, Glenn. Oh.
The only thing that inventor John Milne hasn't perfected yet is brakes. At Pindara Hospital, Glenn Palmer reporting 7 Nightly News.
Oh, wrong, no. And Aggro, we got another letter. By the way, Tanya, we'll be sending you something very shortly in the mail, so keep watching the post box. Excuse me. Could I have another letter, please, Aggro?
I think you can... Ow. You can go with... Ow.
Excuse
Just
me.
take the letter. Take the letter. Just... Ah.
I can't get...
Please, what is it about you?
Oh, would you...
What is it, my aftershave? Ah. Ah. Oh.
Stop. That's a... Don't rip his clothes.
No, it's all right. Do the host. I'll be fine. Ah.
This is Aggro's Cartoon Connection, and this is from Clay Hagelin. From... Oh, would you naked? Oh, we can't have this.
Oh, I'm naked.
Would
I'm
you
naked.
get out? Oh, Aggro.
Oh.
By the way...
No, he's coming back for the pants.
No, you can't have his
pants.
You can't... Oh, would you...
Cover me up. Cover me up. Cover me up.
Will we try it again, Dave? No.
Hey, get that camera out of the way. Grab that cameraman, will ya?
Whoa! This is Television 7, Brisbane.